This is Shadow. That's what the field researchers named him, and for good reason. In September 2019, at just 8 weeks old, he existed like a ghost in his own pride, always trailing behind, always last to feed, always invisible. Of the 6 cubs born to the Kruger pride that summer, Shadow was the runt, the mistake, the one nobody wanted. But what those researchers witnessed on September 14th would become one of the most extraordinary survival stories ever documented in Kruger National Park, South Africa. The footage is difficult to watch. An adult lioness, Shadow's own mother, grips her smallest cub by the scruff and walks. She doesn't stop at the pride's usual resting spots. She doesn't pause when he whimpers. She walks 3 full kilometers across the Savanna until she reaches a lone acacia tree. Then she does something that contradicts every maternal instinct. She sets him down and walks away. The cub weighs just 8 kilograms when he should weigh 12. His amber eyes show confusion, not fear. Not yet. He has no idea his mother just signed his death warrant. Fast forward 7 years. That abandoned 8-kilogram mistake now weighs 230 kilograms of pure muscle. He controls 4 separate territories. He's defeated 23 rival males in direct combat. He's fathered 47 confirmed offspring. He's become the most feared male lion in southern Africa. But before the legend, before the victories, before the dynasty, came 9 days of hell. And that hell began exactly 72 hours after his birth. The Kruger pride ruled the western sector of Kruger in 2019. 4 adult females. 2 dominant males the rangers called the Stone Brothers for their legendary brutality. 6 newborn cubs, 3 subadults from a previous litter. 15 lions total, controlling 65 square kilometers of prime savanna. To survive in this family, you needed strength, you needed speed, you needed size. Shadow had none of these things. What he had was something nobody recognized yet, something far more dangerous. This isn't fiction. Every event you're about to hear is documented by the Kruger Research Institute with camera traps, GPS tracking, and genetic analysis. If you're new here, subscribe now because we're following Shadow's complete journey from that abandoned cub to his current reign as king. And trust me, what happens next defies every statistical probability. The story gets darker before the dawn. From birth, Shadow was different. While his 5 siblings displayed the typical golden-orange coat of Kruger lions, Shadow's fur had a strange honey-blonde tint that made him stand out, and not in a good way. His eyes were pale amber, almost yellow lemon in color, but the real problem was his right rear leg, twisted slightly inward from birth, causing a pronounced limp with every step. Wildlife veterinarians reviewing early footage estimated a 40% survival rate to 3 months. 40%, and that was with his mother's protection. The rejection started immediately. Week 1 of life. His siblings wanted nothing to do with him. When Shadow tried joining their wrestling matches, they shoved him away. When he approached the sleeping pile, they forced him to the outside edge where it's coldest. Even his own mother showed clear preference for the other 5, nursing them first, grooming them more carefully, positioning her body to shield them from threats. Shadow learned early what it meant to be unwanted by the ones who brought you into the world. But here's what the researchers noticed in those first 8 weeks. Persistence. Abnormal, annoying, relentless persistence. Every time Shadow got pushed away, he'd wait exactly 10 minutes and try again. He didn't cry. He didn't retreat to sulk. He just tried again. This irritating refusal to accept rejection would later become his defining trait. But first, he had to survive what came next. 9 days completely alone in one of the most dangerous wildernesses on Earth. September 21st, 2019. Shadow is 63 days old. At 2:47 a.m., a buffalo stampede tears through the pride's territory. Night vision cameras capture the chaos, lionesses scattering, cubs running in all directions, dust clouds obscuring everything. When the dust settles 4 minutes later, the pride regroups and counts their young. 5 cubs accounted for, 1 missing, the small one, the weak one, the one with the limp. They don't go back to look for him. In the language of lions, that decision is final. Shadow is dead. 6:23 a.m. September 22nd. Shadow wakes to the first rays of African sun touching his fur. His first instinct, look for his mother. Nothing. Scan for his siblings. Nothing. He turns a full circle and all he sees is empty grassland extending to infinity in every direction. He does what every lost cub does, calls out. It's a high-pitched distress vocalization that travels 800 meters in the still morning air. The sound echoes across the savanna. Nobody answers. Nobody's listening. A stranded lion cub faces a binary choice. Option 1, stay put and wait for the pride to return. It feels safe. You're not expending energy, not attracting predators, but it's a slow death sentence. Option 2, search for the pride. It's dangerous, exhausting, and you might be walking in the wrong direction, but it's the only path that leads to survival. At 7:15 a.m., Shadow makes his decision. He starts walking, that distinctive limp slowing every step. But he walks. The math is brutal. Kruger Research Institute data shows abandoned cubs under 3 months have an 8% 24-hour survival rate. Make it to 48 hours, 2%, 72 hours, statistically 0. Shadow doesn't know these numbers. All he knows is the hunger cramping his stomach, the thirst making his tongue stick to his mouth, and the African sun already climbing toward 38 degrees Celsius. Oh, and somewhere in this vast wilderness, there are predators that specialize in killing lion cubs. By 11 a.m., Shadow's walked 4 hours in brutal heat. The dehydration is becoming critical. Cubs his age need water every 6 hours. He's already past 8. His breathing accelerates, his vision starts blurring, then he sees it. A glint of light in the distance, water, a small muddy puddle left from rains 3 days ago. Shadow forgets his limp for a moment and runs. It's the fastest he's moved in his short life. That waterhole represents life itself. 34 a.m. Shadow reaches the water and drinks like he's never drunk before. Head down, eyes closed, gulping the warm, murky liquid for 2 solid minutes. When he finally lifts his head, his blood runs cold. 40 meters away, watching him with tilted heads and that characteristic grin, stand 3 spotted hyenas, female hyenas, each weighing 65 kilograms, more than 8 times Shadow's weight. And spotted hyenas are the #1 killer of lion cubs. They don't just kill them, they eat them alive. The hyenas advance slowly, no rush, no panic. They know the cub's trapped. Shadow backs up until thorns from a bush press into his spine. The hyenas close the distance, 15 meters, then 10, then 5. And then something happens that the cameras captured, but researchers still debate years later. A white rhino bull, massively territorial and irritated by all these animals near his waterhole, charges from the left like a 2-ton tank. The hyenas scatter in 3 different directions. The rhino continues on his way, not even acknowledging the cub. Shadow sits frozen for 10 full minutes, too shocked to move. This incident taught Shadow survival lesson #1. Salvation comes from unexpected places. The rhino didn't save him deliberately. It was just being territorial. But the result was identical. Shadow lived to see another sunrise. Although that sunrise was still 18 hours away, and the African night is when the real killers come out to hunt. Shadow spent the rest of the day searching. He covered 6 kilometers total, an incredible distance for a cub his age and condition. His paws bled. His limp worsened with every step. But he didn't stop. At 5:47 p.m., he found something that made his heart race. Fresh lion tracks. He followed those tracks for another 2 kilometers. They led him to a clearing scattered with zebra carcass remains and flies, but the pride was long gone, just bones and disappointment. 12 p.m. The sun drops completely below the horizon. Temperature plummets from 38°C to 14°C in under an hour. Shadow shivers uncontrollably beneath a bush, his small body unable to generate enough heat. Then he hears it, the sound every savanna animal fears, a male lion's roar. But it's not his father. It's a nomadic male, a cub killer, and he's less than 200 meters away. Shadow's longest night has just begun. The nomadic male hunting Shadow that night weighed 210 kilograms of pure predatory muscle, 6 years old, expelled from his birth pride 2 years earlier. Rangers had documented his kill record, 9 cubs in the last 18 months. His method never varied. Detect by scent, stalk in silence, dispatch with a neck bite. Fast, efficient, brutal. And now, carried on the night wind, he'd caught Shadow's scent. The hunt was on. Shadow made the fatal mistake every lone cub eventually makes. He vocalized, just 2 seconds of sound, barely a whimper, but it was enough. The massive male's head snapped toward Shadow's exact location. His eyes caught the moonlight, glowing yellow like twin headlights in the darkness. He began walking, each step measured, deliberate, every muscle coiled and ready. He had all the time in the world. The cub had nowhere to run. Shadow smelled him before seeing him. It's an odor every cub recognizes on a primal level. Testosterone, dried blood, territorial markings, the scent of an adult male. Shadow pressed himself flat against the ground, making his 8-kilogram body as small as physics would allow. He stopped breathing. Distance 50 meters, then 30, then 15. Shadow closed his eyes. If death was coming, at least he wouldn't watch it approach. But at exactly 8 meters, the male stopped. Not because he'd lost the trail. Not because mercy suddenly appeared in his predatory brain. He stopped because he heard something else. Another lion. Distant, maybe a kilometer away, but definitely another male. And this roar was different. Territorial. Challenging. The nomadic male growled in frustration. He faced a choice: kill the cub and risk confrontation with an unknown rival, or abandon the easy meal and investigate the challenger. He chose the rival. Territorial disputes trump hunger. Shadow remained frozen for 47 minutes after the male left. Didn't move a single muscle. His cub mind had just learned survival lesson number 2. Silence equals life. One sound can mean the difference between sunrise and becoming food. When he finally dared to move, he did so in absolute silence, like a golden ghost crossing the dark savanna. No footfall sounds, no breathing sounds, just movement. The temperature continued dropping. Now 9°, lethal for a cub without family body heat. Shadow needed shelter or hypothermia would kill him before dawn. At 9:34 p.m., he found salvation, an abandoned hyena den. Deep enough to block the freezing wind, hidden enough that predators wouldn't easily find him. He crawled inside and curled into the tightest fetal position possible, trying to conserve every calorie of body heat. Shadow didn't sleep that night. Every sound triggered full alert. Distant hyena whoops, a leopard's hunting grunt, branch snaps that could mean anything. His stomach cramped violently. 48 hours without food now. Cubs his age need feeding every 8 hours. He'd crossed deep into danger territory, but hunger was secondary at that moment. The primary objective was simpler: survive until sunrise. Nothing else mattered. 4:07 m. First light began illuminating the den entrance. Shadow had survived his first completely solo night. Statistics say 92% of cubs in his situation never see a second dawn. But Shadow wasn't a statistic, not anymore. And though he couldn't know it yet, every hour spent alone in the savannah was forging him into something no normal lion becomes: a warrior born from abandonment. When Shadow emerged from the den at 6:15 a.m., Something fundamental had changed in his eyes. The confusion was gone, replaced by determination. The question was no longer, "Where is my family?" The question had evolved to, "How do I survive today?" And that question would drive him to achieve something unprecedented in Kruger's documented history: a 2-month-old cub hunting his own prey. Hunger had become Shadow's entire world, not discomfort, actual physical pain. A void that blurred his vision, made his legs tremble with each step. 48 hours without food. His 8-kilogram body was already cannibalizing its own fat reserves. But an 8-kilogram cub doesn't have reserves. He needed food, not tomorrow, not in hours, today, right now. 23 a.m. Shadow detected movement 200 meters out, a meerkat colony. Approximately 15 individuals, each weighing between 700 and 900 grams. For an adult lion, they wouldn't justify the energy expenditure. For Shadow, they represented the difference between life and death. The problem was obvious. Meerkats are hyper-vigilant, always posting sentries, and at the first sign of danger, they vanish into burrows in under 3 seconds. Impossible prey for a limping, starving cub. Shadow watched. 23 minutes without moving. It wasn't strategic patience. He was simply too weak to move unnecessarily. But during those 23 minutes, his cub brain processed information. Which meerkat strayed furthest from the group, which reacted slowest, where the escape burrows were located. He was hunting without knowing he was hunting, using instincts that don't normally develop until 8 months of age. Starvation was accelerating his evolution. A young meerkat, probably 4 months old, ventured 12 meters beyond the safety perimeter, digging for beetles. Shadow noted the low bush between them, noted the wind direction, blowing toward him, not toward the meerkats, meaning they couldn't smell him. Noted the small ground depression he could use for approach without being seen. Then, driven more by desperation than skill, he began his stalk. Every movement agonizingly slow, every step calculated to produce 0 sound. His lame leg, normally a disadvantage, now forced more careful, quieter movement, 8 minutes to cover 15 meters. When he reached the bush, just 4 meters separated him from the distracted meerkat. The sentries hadn't detected him. This was his only chance. One shot. Miss and he'd likely die. Shadow launched. It wasn't the explosive leap of an adult lion. It was the clumsy, uncoordinated jump of a starving, desperate cub. But it was enough. The meerkat turned 1 second too late. Shadow landed on top of it, and pure instinct drove his jaws to close around the small animal's neck. The meerkat shrieked for 3 seconds, then silence. The rest of the colony evaporated into their burrows. Shadow had his first kill. He dragged the meerkat behind rocks, constantly scanning for hyenas or jackals drawn by blood scent. Then he ate with desperate ferocity. The meat was tough, tasted strange to his cub palate, but it was food. He consumed everything, meat, organs, even attempted to crunch the smaller bones. 11 minutes. The meerkat reduced to skin and large bones. Nothing wasted. It wasn't enough to fill him, but it was enough for 12 more hours of survival energy. More important than the calories was what that moment represented. Proof that Shadow could survive without his pride. 2-month-old cubs shouldn't be capable of hunting. But Shadow wasn't a normal cub anymore. Abandonment was transforming him into something different, something more dangerous. Lessons normally learned over 2 years were being compressed into 2 days of brutal necessity. That afternoon, resting beneath a baobab tree's shade, research cameras finally located him. The biologists couldn't believe what they were documenting. Dr. Johann Mühlmann, Kruger Research Institute's lion behavior specialist, wrote in his field notes that day, "Subject Shadow has survived 60 hours alone, has successfully hunted independent prey. This shouldn't be possible. We're witnessing anomalous behavior that may redefine our understanding of adaptation and survival in juvenile lions." Day 4 of Abandonment. September 25, 2019. Shadow made his first critical error. After catching 2 lizards and drinking from a muddy puddle, he chose to rest beneath a marula tree. What he failed to notice, 8 meters directly above him, coiled on a thick branch, slept a 90-kilogram male leopard. And leopards, unlike lions, do eat lion cubs. In fact, they consider them a delicacy. 17 p.m. The leopard woke. First action, stretch. The movement cracked branches. Shadow heard the sound and looked up. Their eyes met. 4 seconds, neither moved. It was the type of moment that freezes time. Both animals calculating odds, measuring options. Shadow calculated he couldn't run. The leopard calculated he had an easy meal. 4 seconds that felt like 4 hours. The leopard descended the tree with liquid grace that seemed to defy gravity. No rush in his movements. He knew the cub was trapped. Shadow, however, did something unexpected. He didn't run. Freezing was pointless. Running was pointless. So he did the only thing his desperate brain could process, adopted a defensive stance, growled with all the ferocity an 8-kilogram cub can muster, and showed his tiny canines. It was absurd. It was suicide. It was all he had. The leopard stopped 3 meters away, not from fear but curiosity. In 7 years of life, he'd killed 4 lion cubs. All had either run or frozen. None had tried to fight him. This broken, limping little thing was growling like it had some chance. The leopard tilted his head, observing this anomaly. Then, in a movement so fast the cameras barely captured it, he attacked. But Shadow moved too, not backward, forward. He launched himself directly at the leopard with jaws open. He didn't bite anything significant. His teeth barely grazed the leopard's chest. But the move was so unexpected, so irrationally brave, that the leopard instinctively retreated. For 2 seconds, the leopard seemed to recalculate. This cub was insane, and insane animals are unpredictable. Unpredictable animals are dangerous, regardless of size. The leopard snarled, displayed his massive canines, then did something surprising. He left, simply turned and vanished into the bush, not because he feared an 8-kilogram cub. Researchers later speculated perhaps the leopard recalled some past experience where a cub proved to be bait, with the mother hidden nearby. Or maybe he simply decided the energy expenditure wasn't worth the minimal meat Shadow offered. Whatever the reason, Shadow survived his 3rd mortal encounter in 4 days, but Shadow didn't escape uninjured. His suicidal charge at the leopard had landed badly on his lame leg. Now the limp was severe. He couldn't put full weight on that paw without sharp pain shooting through his body. This meant his mobility, already limited, was now even more restricted. Hunting would be harder. Fleeing danger would be harder. Surviving would be harder. Yet against all logic, he remained alive. That night, hiding in another abandoned burrow, something fundamental shifted in Shadow. Not just his body hardening from survival, his mind was transforming. He was developing what biologists call compensatory aggression. When an animal knows it's physically weaker, it compensates with increased aggression. Shadow was learning that fear wouldn't save him. Caution wouldn't save him. Only audacity, the pure stubborn refusal to die, could keep him alive. To 47 p.m. that night, beneath a star-filled African sky, Shadow did something no solo cub should do. He roared. It wasn't the earth-shaking roar of an adult male. It was a high-pitched sound, almost comical, like an amplified house cat. But it was his declaration. I'm not dead. I'm not going to die. I'm here, and you're going to have to deal with that. Day 7, September 28th. Shadow had traveled 31 kilometers in zigzag patterns across the Savanna. He'd lost 1.5 kilograms from an already skeletal frame. His ribs protruded through his fur like prison bars. His eyes had sunk deep into his skull from chronic dehydration. Any veterinarian examining him would pronounce the same verdict. Days left, maybe hours. But his eyes still burned with that irrational stubbornness, the refusal to accept fate. 9:12 a.m. Shadow drank from a filthy puddle near the sand river when a scent hit him. His heart rate spiked instantly, the scent of his pride, specifically his mother. They were close, very close, less than 2 kilometers based on scent intensity. For the first time in 7 days, Shadow felt something resembling hope. He started walking, then limping into a trot, despite the pain screaming through his damaged leg, following the olfactory trail like a compass pointing home. 10:34 a.m., he found them. The Nkuhuma pride rested under acacia trees, digesting a zebra from last night's hunt. Shadow stopped 50 meters away, suddenly uncertain. 7 days had passed. In lion time, 7 days is an eternity. Would they recognize him, accept him back, or attack him as an intruder? His mother lifted her head, scented the air, and her eyes locked directly onto Shadow. What happened next shattered every expectation the observing biologists had. Shadow's mother didn't run to him, didn't vocalize recognition. She simply stared for 8 endless seconds, then looked away, rested her head back on her paws, complete dismissal. To her, Shadow was already dead. Abandoned cubs don't return. That's a fact of Savanna life. The dead stay dead. But then something unexpected unfolded. One of Shadow's brothers, the same male who'd been particularly cruel to him before, stood up and began walking toward Shadow. His body language wasn't friendly, ears back, tail rigid, confrontation posture. The other 4 cubs rose, following their leader. 5 cubs, all bigger and stronger than Shadow, advancing in formation. This was a test, show weakness, and they'd violently expel him. Possibly injure him severely, possibly finish what the Savanna had started. Shadow, his entire body trembling from weakness and hunger, did what 7 days of survival had taught him. He didn't retreat. Step forward, another step forward. He walked directly toward his brothers, maintaining eye contact with the leader, emitting a low growl. Not aggression, determination. A growl that said, "I'm not running." At 2 meters distance, something extraordinary occurred. The leader stopped, sniffed Shadow, then inexplicably tapped him gently with his paw. It wasn't violent, it was the kind of paw tap cubs use to initiate play. The other brothers approached. They sniffed Shadow. One by one, they began touching him with their paws, pushing him gently. They weren't attacking, they were recognizing. Biologists theorized later that Shadow's scent had changed during his 7 solo days. Now, he smelled of survival, of prey blood, of overcome danger. That scent somehow had earned his siblings' respect. But the real test came when Shadow slowly approached his mother. She watched him come, her amber eyes evaluating every step. At 1 meter away, Shadow stopped, didn't dare approach further without permission. The mother stood slowly, walked to him, and lowered her massive head until they were nose to nose. For 5 seconds, they simply breathed each other's air. Then the mother did something even the most experienced researchers didn't anticipate. She licked Shadow's forehead. Acceptance. Shadow had returned to the pride, but not as the weak, rejected cub he'd been. He returned as something different. The other lions didn't fully understand yet, but Shadow had completed a rite of passage that normally takes years. He'd survived alone, hunted alone, faced death multiple times, and refused to yield. In 7 days, he'd compressed 2 years of survival lessons into one brutal crash course. The 6 months following his reunion, October 2019 through March 2020, marked Shadow's transformation period. His body finally received consistent nutrition and began developing properly. The lame leg never healed completely, but he learned to compensate so effectively that the limp became barely noticeable. By 8 months old, he weighed 35 kilograms. Still below the 40-kilogram average for his age, but no longer the walking skeleton he'd been. The physical transformation was impressive. The behavioral transformation was terrifying. While his siblings played and burned energy on mock battles, Shadow watched. He watched lionesses execute hunts. He watched the adult males patrol territory boundaries. He watched hyenas attack and lions defend. He didn't participate in cub games, considered them a waste of time. This unnatural seriousness in such a young cub unsettled even his own mother. 8-month-old cubs should play. Shadow studied. January 18th, 2020, 6:47 p.m. Shadow made his first major kill. It wasn't luck, pure strategy. He'd been observing a young impala with an injured leg for 3 days. Noted the impala limped worse at dusk. Noted it separated from the herd to drink at a specific waterhole. Noted the pattern. When the moment arrived, Shadow executed an ambush that would have impressed an adult lioness. The impala never had a chance. 11 months old. The dominant males, the Stone brothers, witnessed this kill. Typically, cubs don't hunt large prey until 15 to 18 months. Shadow did it at 11. What impressed them most wasn't just success, it was efficiency. No lengthy chase, no wasted energy, a calculated, cold, effective assassination. The alpha male approached Shadow after the kill, sniffed him. For the first time, emitted a grunt that in lion language means recognition. This cub would be a dominant male someday. April 2020. 14 months old, Shadow had his first serious confrontation with another young male. A 2-year-old subadult from a neighboring pride had crossed territorial lines. The Stone brothers were still hunting, leaving only Shadow and his siblings at camp. The intruder was bigger, older, more experienced, approached aggressively, expecting cubs to scatter. Shadow's brothers retreated. Shadow stepped forward. The fight lasted exactly 47 seconds. The subadult attacked first, trying to intimidate with size advantage, but Shadow didn't fight like a cub. He fought like an animal that learned retreating means death, went low under the attack, using his smaller size as advantage, and sank his canines deep into the intruder's front leg. The subadult roared in pain and shock. Shadow didn't release, bit harder. The subadult tried shaking free, but each movement only drove Shadow's teeth deeper. Finally, the intruder did the unthinkable. He fled. Fled from a 14-month-old cub. Kruger Research Institute biologists marked this day as significant. Dr. Moolman wrote, "Individual Shadow displays aggression levels and tactical capacity comparable to 3 to 4-year-old males. His early survival experience appears to have accelerated his psychological development in unprecedented ways. Prediction: this individual will become a dominant male before age 5, unusually young." He didn't know how correct he was, nor how conservative his estimate. August 2020, 18 months old. The inevitable moment arrived. The Stone brothers expelled Shadow and his siblings from the pride. It's the normal cycle. Young males must leave to prevent competition. Typically, brothers stay together, forming a nomadic coalition that eventually conquers territory. But Shadow was different. 3 days after expulsion, while his brothers slept, Shadow simply walked away, headed east alone into unexplored territory. His brothers woke and searched for 2 days, never found him. Shadow made a decision that contradicts every lion instinct: become a solitary nomad. Only 7% of young males choose this path, and only 1% of that 7% survive to establish territory. Statistics were, once again, completely against him. But Shadow had beaten impossible odds before. What he would accomplish over the next 5 years would redefine what it means to be a male lion in modern Africa. August 2020 to December 2025. 5 years. Shadow became legend, not through a single heroic moment or one epic battle that gets written into storybooks. He became legend through something far more terrifying: relentless consistency. For 5 straight years, Shadow accomplished what no solitary male lion had achieved before. He didn't just survive, he dominated. February 2021. Shadow was 2 years, 5 months old. Males typically establish territory at 5 to 6 years, usually in coalition with brothers. Shadow did it solo at half that age. The territory he chose belonged to a 7-year-old male with a brutal reputation. Shadow challenged him. The fight lasted 8 minutes and left the older male with wounds that never properly healed. He fled. 3 weeks later, he died from infections. Shadow's reign had begun. What made Shadow different wasn't brute strength, though by age 3, he weighed 230 kilograms of dense muscle. It was his brain. While other lions hunted by instinct, Shadow hunted by calculation. He learned prey patterns better than any documented lion, developed hunting techniques biologists had never witnessed, zigzag formation ambushes, using brush fires as directional tools, even coordinating with jackals to exhaust large prey before attacking. He hunted like a strategist, not a predator. Between 2021 and 2023, Shadow expanded his territory from the initial 45 square kilometers to 180 square kilometers, the second largest solo male territory ever recorded in Kruger. He achieved this not through constant violence, but through reputation. Young males approaching his borders heard the stories: the lion who survived abandonment, the lion who fights like he has nothing to lose. Most never even attempted crossing his scent markers. Veer is cheaper than fighting, but territorial dominance wasn't enough. Shadow wanted legacy, wanted dynasty. Between 2022 and 2025, Shadow mated with females from 7 different prides. This is an extraordinary feat for a solitary male. Typically, solo males get expelled by younger coalitions, but Shadow had a tactic: never stay with a pride longer than 3 weeks. Mate, impregnate the lionesses, vanish before rival males could organize response. Ghost tactics. The result? Between 2022 and 2025, Shadow fathered 47 genetically confirmed offspring. Extraordinary. The average dominant male produces 12 to 20 cubs in his lifetime. Shadow tripled that number in just 3 years. Kruger Research Institute geneticists estimate that by 2030, 8% of all lions in Kruger's western sector will carry Shadow's genes, the most successful genetic propagation of a single male in the park's modern history. From abandoned mistake to genetic dynasty, his reputation grew so massive that rangers began reporting physically impossible sightings. Shadow seen simultaneously in territories 40 kilometers apart. Shadow hunting buffalo solo. Shadow driving away 3 male coalitions without fighting. Some reports were exaggerations, many were true. Shadow had become so efficient, so unpredictable in his movements, that he genuinely seemed omnipresent. Tourists started calling him the Golden Ghost. The name stuck. Between 2023 and 2025, Shadow faced his greatest challenge: a 4-male coalition, all 5 to 6 years old in their physical prime. They wanted his territory, wanted his lionesses, wanted him eliminated. For 14 months, January 2024 to March 2025, they waged war. Not a battle, war. 23 documented confrontations. Shadow won 17, tied 4, strategically retreated from 2, killed one of the brothers in July 2024, severely wounded another who died from infections in October. The math was brutal, but Shadow controlled the math. March 2025. The 2 surviving brothers finally retreated, not because they couldn't defeat Shadow. Together they probably could. They retreated because Shadow exhausted them. Every battle fought on Shadow's terms. Every confrontation left the brothers more injured than Shadow. Eventually, they calculated that conquering Shadow's territory would cost more than it was worth. So they left to find easier targets. Shadow remained. Undefeated December 2025. Shadow is 6 years, 3 months old. In human terms, absolute prime. Biologists estimate 3 to 5 more years as dominant male before younger lions eventually displace him. But with Shadow, normal rules have never applied. When other lions see him, they see impressive size, dark mane covering his shoulders, battle scars telling stories. But what they should see is the barely perceptible limp in his right rear leg. That limp is a reminder of origin, a reminder that the cub everyone discarded, the nature's mistake that should have died in 48 hours, refused to accept his fate. Shadow's story isn't finished. He's still writing his legacy every day across Kruger's plains. But he's already proven something that transcends lion biology. He's proven that abandonment can forge a king, that early weakness can become legendary strength, that when everyone discards you, when statistics say 0% survival, when even your own mother leaves you to die, you can still choose to rise, choose to fight, choose not to die. And if you fight hard enough, if you refuse stubbornly enough to accept your fate, you can become something nobody saw coming. You can become a legend.